Salam alaikum. Today is the second day of Ramadan. And on my new system of shorter videos, today we will do two samples. This is what happens when you don't drink. Two samples, tiny ones, but very powerful ones, focusing on the meanings, proving that nobody can push you into anything in Islam. There is no human that has the right to push you and force you into anything. And here are your proofs. I would love you to write these down so that if anyone tries to argue, you will just bring forward these proofs. I'm going to give you two. I'll give it two and two and two and two. I think that will be doing it for how many I've chosen for this week. Now we have Surat Qaf, and we're going to give you from the verse 45. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم نحن أعلم بما يقولون وما أنت عليهم بجبار فذكر بالقرآن من يخاف الوعيد. Allah is saying here that we know what they're saying. And you have no ability to force. The word force is jabbar. So remind them by Quran. Whomsoever fears the final judgment, al-wa'id. I'll say it again. نحن أعلم بما يقولون وما أنت عليهم بجبار فذكر بالقرآن من يخاف وعيد. Next is Surat Al-Ghashiyah, verse 22, ayah 22. فذكر إنما أنت مذكر لست عليهم بمسيطر. Once again, فذكر. This was mentioned in the previous verse. Dhakr means to be reminded of something. That's why we say dhikr. When we do dhikr, we remind ourselves about Allah. So dhikr, plural adhkar, is very useful. As useful, actually, as reading the Quran. When you remind somebody with verses of Quran and you do it through adhkar, that's why we have the morning and evening adhkars. We're supposed to remember Allah, and so there are special ones set aside for the period of the morning and the period of the evening. Once again, فذكر إنما أنت مذكر لست عليهم بمسيطر. So the word to concentrate on here in this vein of what I'm concentrating on about force, etc. The previous ayah, Jabbar, literally means to force. Here we have bimusaytir. Saitara is if you are over someone and you are having some form of capacity to tell them what to do. Musaitir. Once again, fadhakkir, remind. Innama anta mudhakkir. You are a reminder. You are bringing to someone's conscious mind Allah. Think about Allah. Don't think about humans. I keep stressing this. No humans involved here. And ending with Lasta alayhim bimusaitir. Now, this is a very controversial concept because Allah is telling me nobody can force and nobody can control over anyone. Well, wait. You know what I'm going to say. What about all those humans? Security forces, police, military. I'm afraid to say much more. Anasa'ima. You know what I mean. So now, do those people exist? Yes, they exist. But Allah is telling you they have no power. Now, if Allah wants to try you by them and with them, to irritate you where you need to be irritated, you see, once again, Allahu yakhluqu af'al al-ibad. Keep telling you this. Allah creates the deeds of his servants. Good ones, bad ones. Remember, ibad doesn't necessarily mean the worshipful good people. We are all ibad Allah, whether we like it or not. We're classified that way. Because just as a slave in reality has no choice, an abd, in reality, we have no choice. I keep telling you this. You know, the choice between free will and predestination. In our worldly purview, what our minds can conceptualize, we have free will. But it's been written. And that's why the subject of qadar, it's in our aqidah. It comes at the last, at the end. We are beholden, if we're Muslims, to know our dogma, our doctrine. And of that, there's only one truth. And that is, as I've described this many times because I love this subject. You can say you have free will. Oh, yes, of course I can. I can decide to go out right now and take a walk rather than to do this video. No, Allah already knew that I'm not going to go out right now. I'm going to take this walk. And it's been written in the Lawhun Mahfud above. How by the angels? So now, if you look at it in that perspective, it's quite exactly the most perfect and only perspective that can ever be. Because it gives you some form of freedom to make your choices. But always know that no matter what you choose, Allah knew that's what you were going to choose because he wrote it for you before you were born. So let's just make a quick review. Oh, good. We're only 8 minutes. We're going to do it today. Let's hope we do it every day in Ramadan to give you the time, less than 10 minutes in your busy day, to get these little tidbits, which I hope they're going to be, I shouldn't say tidbits, that's not a polite word to use for Allah's words, to give you Allah's words in condensed form, where I hope you'll write them down and remember them and use them. So now today we have Jabbar, the enforcer really, the force. And then we have Musaitir, those who would be over you and having some ability to control you. Now, you're going to write down Jabbar and you're going to write down Musaitir. Interestingly, they always tell you that algebra came from Jabr and it was invented or discovered, let's say, by the Arabs. But what I like are the essential meanings. And you know, if you look in the oldest dictionary, you will find that Jabr was used as a meaning to set bones. So when you break your bone, that's why the idea of putting a cast on you, whether it be a plaster of Paris cast or however in the olden days they would push that bone and wrap it so it couldn't move. and that was known as Jabr. Isn't Arabic awesome? Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.